Today, Abraham is not worried about anything than the Eliezer. He says I don't want. I'm already old. I don't think it is a good thing. Let Eliezer or Eliezer or Eliezer, it depends how we pronounce. Eliezer of Damascus will be my heir, my successor, my inherit. But God says no, you will have your own son. Now what happens to this person whom Abraham chose? So which means Abraham already fixed that he is going to be my successor. So in this few minutes I wanted to dwell on this person, Eliezer. Eliezer means, Eli means, at least even though if you don't know Hebrew, we know Eli means God. Because Jesus on the cross says, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, right? So my God or God. So Eli means God. Ezer means help, which means a God's help or help of God. So in Indian translation, Eliezer could be translated as Devasahayam. So we have now Saint Devasahayam. Means help from God or God's help or God has help. How you translate this? So Abraham already fixed in his mind that Eliezer will be his successor. And but we know how the story, the salvation history, how it dwells. He will get Ishmael, Isaac and all other things. And in few times we see this person Eliezer. In chapter 24, next week we will be reading, maybe on Friday next week, on 13th ordinary week, we will see this reading. Abraham calls Eliezer, the chief steward, who is the senior most and who is in charge of all his household affairs. And he calls him. Now I am old. Before his death, he want to make sure that Isaac get married and Isaac has a companion. And he calls him, you go and bring a wife for my child. And don't take Isaac at any cost. But you have to bring, you go to my own relatives and bring. And at least if he heard, sometimes during the matrimony masses, marriage masses, we will read that reading. How Isaac marries Rebecca and all. The important protagonist in that whole episode is this Eliezer. Eliezer goes, and Abraham had a wish only that he had to get, but the task is given to this servant, and he goes and he prays. And if you remember also how he prays, I will go there, I will wait near the well. God, you have to bring that person, and I will ask this, and that person has to say this, and after that only it is my confirmation that you are with me and you have brought me to the safe place, perfect place. Exactly happens like that. And he goes to the Laban's house, he narrates everything, and finally everything is okay and he brings. After that we don't see the character of Eliezer. But Abraham has chosen him as a successor. But God was telling him something else. So what happens to his fate? What is his inheritance? God is not that unjust, and he was so faithful servant. If you see in the New Testament, only parable or only occasion or the narration listed in the Gospels about the paradise or heaven, that is about the rich man and poor Lazarus. So where he mentions poor Lazarus after his death was taken to the bosom of Abraham. Bosom of Abraham means heaven, basically. So he is comforted there. He is comforted. We know that with the time, language will develop, language will change. In the olden days, maybe few years back, we used to call this as a Bangalore. Now it is Bengaluru. So in the olden days, Eliezer. In the New Testament, that Eliezer becomes Lazar. So Lazar means God's help of God. God has helped me in different things. So God gives him the reward, eternal reward, and keeps him in the heaven at the bosom of Abraham. And how this could happen? In the gospel, Jesus says, good tree bears good fruit and bad tree bears bad fruit. So good tree, we see the faith of Abraham. So because of the faith of Abraham, and Abraham at certain point of time, he was nurturing this Eliezer to take the whole possession, take the leadership. So he trained him in a good manner. That's how we see how his faith. He is not like Abraham, but he puts in practice the faith what he learned from the master, and then he delivers the good fruit, and that's how he is given the eternal reward. If you see throughout the Bible, very few people names are mentioned that they are in heaven. Naturally, like Trinity, God the Father, Son and the Holy Spirit, angels and saints. Then some big characters like Elijah, Moses, Enoch. Then maybe in the Revelation context, maybe people who are martyred, but their names are not mentioned. Like huge numbers will be there, but not with the name. So only these people only. Enoch, Moses, Elijah, only these people, and of course Abraham. And Jesus himself narrates this parable that Abraham is in heaven, father of faith. And along with Abraham, Eliezer was there, Lazar was there. Of course, Jesus also tells about good thief, but there is no name mentioned. What is the name of a good thief? So only few people. So eternal reward. And that's what the example of Eliezer gives us, how Jesus is inviting us in the gospel acclamation. Abide with me so that you can bear a good fruit. So if we are abide with our master, as Eliezer abide with his master Abraham, he could deliver his good fruit. So when we abide with the master Jesus himself, we also in turn will bear a good fruit and be a blessing.